You're classified as a second felony offender. You were sentenced January 6, 2003 for molestation of a juvenile, or aggravated oral sexual battery, and forcible rape, 2 counts. Your total sentence is 70 years. You're not eligible to earn good time, and your full term date is July 29, 2069. Mr. Morris, is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Would you answer Mr. Marabella, please?
Good morning, Mr. Morris. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morris, how old are you?
I'm 49.
How long have you been in prison on these charges?
Since 2003, I got to Angola.
Okay. So you've been there, what, 19 years?
Yes, sir.
Did you bond out? These offenses, I think, occurred in 2001, if I'm not mistaken, but
Yes, sir.
did you bond out of jail? Did you go to
Yes, sir.
prison?
I stayed there
When
for
was-
Paris until I came to
So how
Angola.
long have you been in prison altogether?
I got to Angola in 2003, but I was doing Paris in 2001.
Understand, okay, so you've been in a little over 20 years.
Yes, sir.
I understand you got your GED while you've been in prison, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How far had you gone in school before you went to prison?
11th grade.
11th grade?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why'd you quit school?
I had a drinking problem during school, and I just kept drinking, and my mom finally took me out of school.
Tell me a little bit about your drinking problem. When did you start drinking?
When I was 18, started drinking. I just started drinking and drinking and drinking.
And how often were you drinking?
I get up, that's my morning cup of coffee, and I drink all day long. Then I go to bed.
What would you drink?
Beer, Miller Lite,
And how long did you do that?
till I got arrested.
All right, now you were arrested once for burglary. Were you
Yes, sir.
drinking, committed the
Yes, sir, I
burglary?
was drinking during all that too.
Now, did you go to prison when you got arrested for the burglary, or were you put
No,
on
sir.
probation?
I put on probation, 3 years probation,
And probation was terminated unsatisfactorily. Why?
because I left.
Because you left.
Yes, sir, I
You
left and had a
absconded.
job. I had a job in Missouri, and I went to work.
All right. So tell me what you've done about your drinking problem.
I'm doing, I just everyday job, living every day, trying to do without it.
What sort of programs have you had to help you with your alcohol? You consider yourself to be an alcoholic?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever use drugs?
No, sir.
Never smoked marijuana, never tried
Never touched
anything?
no drugs. No, sir.
Always alcohol.
Alcohol.
So tell me what substance abuse courses or programs you've taken while you've been in prison.
I took substance abuse here, and they taught AA in it, teach you how to stay away from alcohol. They had NA, but they told me I wouldn't qualify for it, but that's narcotics.
You wouldn't qualify for NA, you mean?
Yes, sir.
And
So
basically the same program. Tell me your sobriety plan in case you're released. How are you going to stay off of alcohol?
I'm gonna have a good support system out there to keep me off from, help me.
Well, tell me what that looks like.
That's me where I work at, my job, going to AA meetings, going to church, getting every kind of support I can get out there.
Do you go to AA meetings now?
I did it in Angola.
Okay. How often are you going to Angola?
I was going every night. Every night we have inmates meeting, and we'll be there with them.
How long did you do that for?
I was going off about 3 years.
What are the triggers that make you drink alcohol? I mean, what have you learned about yourself that will help you to stay sober and to make sure you don't get involved in the things that got you to drinking? What caused you to drink? What were your triggers?
I was hanging around the wrong people, and I get depressed, and I go to drinking.
What other programs have you taken that you believe have been very helpful to you while you've been in prison?
I took welding, culinary arts, any kind of trade program, every kind of program came up, I volunteered to be in.
What sort of trade do you hope to do when you get out?
Welding.
Or do you have a job?
No, sir, I'm going to halfway house, but I don't have nobody out there.
Is that where you're hoping to go, to a halfway house when you get out?
Yes, sir.
What particular halfway house? Do you have one lined up?
I was supposed to be the one lined up. I gave them to Lafayette and Washington Parish
Okay. And how did you set those up? Who helped you set those up?
classification in Angola.
Okay. What about family support? Do you have any family that's willing to help you or support you?
No, sir, I cut ties with my family because my brother's on their way to Angola and all my sisters on their way to St. Francisville. St.
So
Gabriel. They all
You
got
pay-
late
What
night.
kind of family do you have on the outside?
Oh, I know nobody out there. They all
Nobody.
drugs and alcohol.
Why is it that your ties have been cut with your family?
Because they don't want to go right. They want to keep drugs around them, start shooting people, robbing. And I'm changing my life. Can't be around them.
Were you involved in all of that when you were out?
No, sir, I was just involved in drinking and doing other stuff.
Mr. Morris, I want to talk to you about what you did, what landed in prison.
Yes, sir.
Very troubled by the crime, to be honest with you. So tell me what happened, how it happened, why it happened, okay?
I ain't making no excuses, but I was drinking and I just messed up severely. And I ain't never, when I got arrested, I never denied it, admitted what I done, and asked them to help me. I've been asking for help ever since.
Now, you were drinking, you lived with this little girl's mother?
No, sir, I did not live with her.
Y'all were just boyfriend, girlfriend, y'all had a
Boyfriend,
relationship?
girlfriend. Yes, sir.
How often would you be over there?
I go over there every other day.
And how long did this go on between you and the young 7-year-old girl? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
How long did this go on?
That was one night.
It's not what the police report says, and it's not what she says, and it's not what you admitted to. Now, this is about being honest.
But all I remember is one night. I don't remember everything about that.
Well, I mean, are you denying that it happened more often
No,
than
sir.
one time?
I don't know exactly how many times it happened, but I ain't denying that. I admitted to it right there to them, and I ain't never denied it.
Well, you made some statements that are very concerning to me. And you said that this little girl, in essence, seduced you. You remember saying something like that?
No, sir, I
You
never
used
said
that
that.
term. You said she'd rub on you and she could say, I could do things for you my mother can do better than her. You remember saying all those things to the police?
I told the police I'd done it and never blamed nobody but myself for it.
Well, the police report specifically refers to a tape statement that you gave them saying basically what I just reflected back to you. Do you not remember that?
I never said that, sir.
Or you never
blamed
said,
nobody. No, sir, I never did. I admitted what I done. I told them I done it and I admitted and took the full charge.
you don't recall initially saying it didn't happen, you didn't do it?
No, sir.
You did it right away.
Yeah, I admitted as soon as I got in a police car, I admitted it.
Well, that's not what the police report reflects, and that's not what your tape statement says, okay? We'll talk about that. We'll just put that on the back burner. You took 4 phases of sex offender treatment.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you learned in that program.
I learned to respect everybody and don't do wrong. I learned I had a problem.
Now, that was 20 years ago. That little girl now is a woman. She's 27, 28 years old. What do you think what you did to her, how do you think that's affected her?
Affected her bad a lot.
Well, tell me what you learned about that. Tell me what your actions have caused her or what you learned about that.
My action caused her mental and emotional harm and physical.
Tell me a little bit about, did you facilitate your fourth phase? You facilitated sex offender treatment?
No, I wasn't a facilitator. They had a class, they had a mental health man facilitating it.
Okay. Have you ever had any mental health evaluation yourself?
Yes, sir.
And you take any kind of medication, or had you taken any kind of medication?
I used to take Respirol.
Okay, do you not take that anymore?
No, sir, they took me off from it.
In having been evaluated mentally and talking with some people, getting sober, and taking the sex offender treatment program that is offered to you, can you tell us what or why you did what you did back then? I mean, I know you said, yeah, I was drinking, but you know, there are a lot of alcoholics and a lot of people that drink that don't commit the crime. So tell me, have you reflected on why it is you did what you did?
I was messed up in the head. And I admit that. I was messed up in the head.
Now, do you think you were messed up in the head because you were drinking? Or do you think you were messed up in the head because you had some mental health issues that were going on with you?
I ain't making no excuses. I was drinking, but I think I had some mental health issues going on too.
Have you addressed those?
Yes, sir, I have.
Tell me, what kind of mental health issues do you believe you had?
I was hearing voices in my head out there telling me to do certain things. And when I got arrested, I got the help I needed for it.
Okay, and tell me about the help that you got. What did you get, and how have you been able to silence those voices?
Then I went through the mental health program with the medicine and everything, meeting with the, what they call them, the psychers.
Psychologist?
Yes, sir, psychologist. And he taught me how to, when I hear them voices, just sit still, relax, and just try to learn how to tune them out. And he took me off the medicine because they was shipping me.
They were what?
Shipping me up here.
Shipping you. So when did you last take your Respirol?
Last Tuesday.
Oh, so you've been, and how long have you been on Respirol before that?
Since 2008.
So you've been taking Respirol regularly since 2008, and they took you off when they sent you here this past week?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your disciplinary record. You've been in prison 20 plus years, you've had 21 write-ups, but you've had 2 of them in the last couple of years. What was that about? One was for aggravated work offense, defiance, and aggravated disobedience. You remember those?
I don't remember that, but a lot of my write-ups I got is because I instigated them. I go tell them, put me in a cell block because I didn't want to be around the people who were smoking.
Okay, now this is 2020. We're talking about less than 2 years ago. You had 2 write-ups. What were those about? You don't remember them?
And I don't remember them, but we were just talking about them. I don't even remember them.
It was an aggravated work offense. One of them was, it was in 2 days, August the 20th and August the 21st. One was a defiance and aggravated disobedience, and the other one was an aggravated work offense. You don't remember anything about those?
If it was aggravated work offense, I can say I'd done it, but the defiance, I never did disrespect nobody. I ain't gonna disrespect them.
I guess my
Yes, sir.
question is, you don't remember what happened?
No, sir, I don't.
Do you have problems with your memory?
No, sir.
Have we gotten anyone in from LSP? Okay, Warden Hooper,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
can you tell us a little bit about Mr. Morris?
Basically, there's not much else to add. He's got a couple defiances, even though he said he doesn't. He's got one back in, it's like 14, he had 2 of them, and then the one in 2020. He's completed a few programs. Other than that, there's not much else to add.
Thank you very much, Ward. Good to have you on this morning. That's all the questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Morris, is there a statement you'd like to make to the panel before we vote?
Yes, ma'am. I got it right here. I wrote it down, so I knew I would remember my statement.
Okay,
First and foremost, I accept responsibility for the foolishness of the person that I was. I regret that I cannot take it back and wish every day that I could make amends for my actions. The person I am today does not in any way reflect the person that I was, but the person today still lives with the remorse that I sexually assaulted a child, and I will live with this for the rest of my life. I want to thank the board for their time and the opportunity to appear before them. I ask the board for mercy. Thank you.
all right, thank you, sir. I think we're prepared to vote.
Yes.
Mr. Mirabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Morris, it sounds like you've done some good work. You've taken the sex offender program, all 4 phases of it. You've done some work with your alcoholism. You don't have any family support. That concerns me. You've kind of explained that. I mean, we have some reports in there where your family is even opposed to your getting out. The crime you committed was a horrible offense. In spite of your lack of seeming to accept what you said back then, you did say some things back then. You denied it initially. Maybe you just don't remember that, and I understand that. I believe you need some more programs. I think that you need some more. You need a better plan for your sobriety. I think you need to learn a little more about victim awareness. I think you need to get some understanding of what you did to that little girl. I just think you need more programs today. My vote today would be to deny your parole, but to recommend that you continue to work hard. And I'd like to see, if I'm back on this board when you come back, no write-ups whatsoever. You've had a couple of write-ups in the last couple of years. That's troublesome to me. So that would be my vote, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Rushing.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Morris, based on a stable transition plan, an extensive criminal background, express opposition from victim's family and your family, based upon a general disciplinary conduct that's unacceptable. We've had 2 Class B write-ups. Matter of fact, we've had 3 Class B write-ups in the last 18 months. Based on all those factors, I'm going to deny your request this morning.
Mr. Morris, this is your first parole hearing, and it was just not long ago when you realized you'd be eligible for parole and have this opportunity. So I don't want you to get discouraged, and you need to keep working. I do agree with my colleagues. I think you could benefit from some more programs, work on a stable transition plan. My vote today is to deny for all the reasons that have been stated. You have the opportunity to reapply, so stay right up free, and when you're eligible, request an hearing. Good luck to you, sir. Your parole's been denied. And that concludes our business at Raven Board, so we will adjourn. It's 9:35. Thank y'all for accommodating us.
Thank y'all.
Not what you said, not what the police report said. It's Mr. Mirabella really hit it on the head with that one, huh? A classic roach. You know, he's one of the few roaches that actually has write-ups. And thank you, Jen, for sharing this Angola handbook that actually goes into what it is. So he is Class B, which is disobedience aggravated. Offenders must obey direct verbal orders cooperatively and promptly, and not debate, argue, or ignore the orders before obeying. The last order received must be obeyed when orders conflict. Even orders the offenders believe improper must be obeyed. Grievances must be pursued through proper channels. Sanctions imposed by the disciplinary officer disciplinary board are to be carried out by the offender. Violations of duty status will apply to this role, as will violations in order from the disciplinary board. The only valid excuse for disobedience or aggravated disobedience is when an immediate result of obedience would result in bodily injury. This includes the incapacity by virtue of a certified medical reason. Do you guys like when I go through that? Should I go through those rules more often? Thank you again, Jen, for sharing it. But here's this classic roach, and it's, the manipulation, it shines through. You saw Mr. O'Shea's face when he said it happened just one night. He perked up like he was ready to snap, or to pounce, I should say. But I think Mr. Marabella took care of it for him, so he didn't feel a need to really re-emphasize it. And thank you, Richard, for pointing this hearing out. One night, a 7-year-old girl. And thank goodness Louisiana hit him up with 70 years, and he has a right for a hearing early, even though his good time date is 2069. Because I believe of the of one of the new laws it passed, because he probably was hit with an habitual offender, and anyone who has the habitual offenders allowed earlier parole hearings. The Act 122. You don't remember what happened, and I don't know if you picked up on it. Mr. Marabella mentioned, so you don't remember what happened with your work offense. And he was saying it sarcastically, the same way he claims not to remember what happened with this 7-year-old girl all those years. And then when he came to read his statement, he says, I wrote it down because I knew I wouldn't remember it, thinking that was clever. It's so classic, so typical. And what things that we find in common, they always find a way to date a woman with a child, to marry a woman with a child. And let's remember, it's not, I don't believe for a moment that it's a coincidence that they fall in love with this woman, or they're intrigued or infatuated by this woman, and then they start dating them or marry them, and then it happens to be they have a child. I believe that they target the woman full on intentionally from the beginning to get to the child. And just think about that. They literally see a child that they want, and they go into throwing all of their whatever it is to woo this woman so they can get their prey. Think about that. Glad he was denied. Hopefully he'll be someone that actually does end up getting buried in jail, right underneath the prison, as they say. It is unique that he has write-ups. That does make him very, a little different, I should say, but everything else is the same. Even his own family doesn't want him back. What a beautiful thing that is, and refreshing to hear. Everyone is opposed. I don't think he'll be getting out. 2069 is his full term date, and I am happy to say that is a long time away. But with that, I'll let you go.